Peter Schiff is the president of Euro-Pacific Capital. He says what's happening in the auto industry is symptomatic of what's happening in the larger economy. He says if the automakers get government loans, the government will never see the money again. In addition to managing $1 billion in investments, Peter is also the author of the Little Book of Bull Moves in Bear Markets. It is currently the #1 selling investment book on Amazon.com right now. We are welcoming him from our LA studio. Peter, so glad to have you with us. I want to know, first of all, if what Ford said, the details that we got this morning, changes your opinion at all about whether or not the automakers should get loans from the government.
Well, absolutely not. I mean, first of all, the U.S. government has no constitutional authority to loan money to the auto company or anybody else for that matter. And I wish the federal judiciary had, some integrity and they would actually strike this stuff down. But if Ford actually has a viable plan, let them take it to the private capital markets and try to sell it. It's my feeling that the reason they have to go to the government is because nobody will willingly put money into this business because it's not going to work. It needs to collapse. You know, the future of our economy is going to be manufacturing. We need a new industrial revolution. Our phony service sector economy is collapsing. It was never viable. We need to have a dynamic, competitive manufacturing industry.
Peter,
and one step in that process is to let these companies go bankrupt so they can be restructured.
Peter, before we talk about the implications of bankruptcies for the big three, I mean, Chrysler went to the government in the late 70s. 1980 came out of its troubles, if you like, and the government made money. You don't think that's a possibility this time around?
Well, I think the government was wrong to have bailed out Chrysler then. It was bad precedent, and it's wrong
even
to
though
bail
they made
out,
money.
I don't care if it worked. It wasn't legal. It shouldn't have been done. And how do we know? Maybe Chrysler would be in better shape today if they had let them go under. Because you know what? Here they are again, bankrupt again, asking for even more money. So to say that it was a success, I think, is premature.
What do you think about the automakers just taking their medicine? As you imply, they're allowed to go bankrupt, if you want to use that phrasing. 2.5 to 4 million jobs, most economists are saying minimum, are at stake. What happens when those people sort of flood the labor market when we're already in a recession?
They're not going to flood the labor market. First of all, the auto industry has been contracting for decades. They've been laying people off. I think if we finally let these companies fail and let their resources be reallocated among people who actually can manage them efficiently, it's my guess that we'll have more people employed in this country making cars than we have today. I mean, in the short run, some of these people might lose their jobs. All of them won't. But once these firms can get competitive and they can actually make cars that people around the world want to buy, we'll have a more dynamic auto industry employing more people. Now, they might be employing them at lower wages, but that's just how life works.
What's the answer then, the larger answer? I mean, you've said the auto problems are symptomatic of what's happening right now, the crisis, if you like, in the U.S. So you're just saying for every company that's in trouble, either they have to find private sources of money or they have to go bankrupt.
Right. I mean, what's happening right now, we've had this bubble economy and it's bursting. And we've had a lot of companies that are too big, that have, especially, in the financial services sector, in the retail sector. This economy needs to restructure. A lot of these industries that are bloated and that are inefficient need to contract. We've had too much consumer borrowing and spending in this country. We've had this service sector economy that has grown around that. It's not viable. It needs to collapse. Resources need to be freed up and reallocated. Now, a lot of these companies, like in the auto industry, I mean, sure, manufacturing is what we need, but unfortunately, their cost structures are bloated. They have these problems in the finance department. They were financing automobiles like they were giving out mortgages. They have pension liabilities that they can't meet. They have health care.
No, Peter, I didn't mean to cut you off. Please finish your thought.
So I'm saying, look, these companies need to be restructured. They're never going to be profitable in their current form. And the more money the government gives them, the more they subsidize the incompetent structures that exist. And we will never get the reform that we need in the automobile industry.
Peter.
It's just going to be one gigantic money pit.
Peter, we thank you. Peter Schiff, president of Euro-Pacific Capital.